Welcome to the Pro Ticker Deep Dive.
It is fantastic to be back here.
Today, we are not just looking at a standard news headline. We are looking at a seismic event.
Yeah, seismic is definitely the right word for this one.
Because usually, when we talk about executive shuffles on this show, it can get a little dry.
Oh, totally.
You know the drill. Someone retires, they get a nice plaque, someone else gets promoted, and life goes on.
Right, business as usual.
But this feels entirely different. This feels like the ground is actually shifting under the entire video game industry.
It really does. We are looking at a complete regime change at a company that is worth, nearly $3 trillion?
2.95 trillion, yeah.
Right. And it is happening at a moment when the gaming industry is already feeling incredibly fragile.
Very fragile.
So we aren't just talking about a changing of the guard here. We're talking about a changing of the entire philosophy of how Microsoft approaches gaming.
Exactly. So let's set the scene for everyone listening. We are talking about Microsoft Gaming, Xbox.
The green tea.
Right. And the headlines are screaming right now because Phil Spencer, the man who has basically been the face of Xbox for an entire generation, the quote-unquote gamer CEO, is retiring.
Which alone is massive news.
That alone is huge. If the story stopped right there, we would have a full deep dive just reminiscing about his tenure.
Absolutely.
But then you look a little closer and the plot thickens.
It thickens considerable.
Because Sarah Bond, the Xbox president, the woman, everyone, and I mean literally everyone thought was the heir apparent to the throne.
Yeah.
She is gone. Resigned. Just like that.
And that is where the narrative really shifts.
How so?
Oh, if it was just Phil retiring after 38 years, you would just call it a well-earned victory lap.
Right. You get the retrospective videos, the tears, the applause.
Exactly. But losing the president of the division at the exact same time, that signals something much deeper.
A fracture.
It signals a fracture, yes. And then crucially, you have to look at who is actually stepping in to fill that void.
Right. The new CEO of Microsoft Gaming is Asha Sharma.
A very interesting choice.
Now, if you are a hardcore gamer listening to this, sitting in your chair, you might be scratching your head saying, who?
And that is completely fair. She is not a gaming celebrity.
Not at all. But if you follow tech, if you follow AI, or if you just follow platform economics, that name rings a very loud bell.
Precisely. And that is the tension that we need to explore today.
The shift in leadership style.
Yes. This isn't just a personnel swap. We are witnessing a shift from gamer DNA leadership people who grew up in the arcades, who remember the console wars of the 90s, to what we might call AI and platform leadership.
From passion to precision.
Exactly. It is a very calculated move.
And the timing. We really have to talk about the timing of all this. This is not happening in a vacuum.
Not at all.
We have hardware revenue plummeting. We have stock market volatility that is making investors seriously sweat. And we have this massive looming shadow on the horizon called Grand Theft Auto 6.
It is the perfect storm.
So the mission for this deep dive is to unpack exactly why this is happening right now.
Right. Is this just a retirement party that got a little messy?
Or is this a hard reset driven by Wall Street pressure to turn a very expensive hobby into a high-margin profit engine?
I think we both know which way the wind is blowing there.
Let's unpack this. We have to start with the man himself, Phil Spencer.
38 years at Microsoft.
38 years. He started as an intern in 1988. I mean, I was barely conscious in 1988.
It is an absolute lifetime in the tech sector. Just think about that trajectory for a second.
Intern to CEO.
He started out writing code and ended up running a division that rivals the GDP of some small countries.
It is wild.
But to understand why his departure is so emotional for the community, why people are posting tributes online and feeling genuinely sad about this, you have to go back to 2013 and 2014.
Oh, man, the dark days. The very dark days.
We really have to remind you just how bad it was back then. This was the launch era of the Xbox One.
TV. I can still hear the presentation in my nightmares.
Exactly. Don Mattrick was in charge of Xbox then. And the messaging wasn't about video games at all.
Not even a little bit.
It was about Kinect camera integration. It was about cable TV pass-through, fantasy sports app.
Right. They wanted to own the living room.
But it felt like gaming was an afterthought, an annoyance almost. And the policies. You remember the DRM check-in?
Oh, I remember. They wanted the console to check in online every 24 hours, or your single-player games simply wouldn't work.
It's a disaster.
And you couldn't trade and use games easily. The backlash to that was nuclear.
It was completely toxic. The brand was toxic.
And the hardware was weaker, too.
The console was underpowered compared to the PlayStation 4, and it was $100 more expensive because they forced you to buy the Kinect camera that nobody actually wanted.
I remember that E3 presentation. It felt like Microsoft didn't even want to sell video games. They wanted to sell a cable box.
And then Phil steps in.
The rescue mission.
He really was the rescue mission. He took over in 2014, and he essentially rehabilitated the brand's soul.
He did.
He didn't just change the marketing copy. He pivoted the entire corporate culture hard, back to games first.
And he did some things that were genuinely pro-consumer, which, let's face it, is incredibly rare in this business. Backwards compatibility was a massive Phil Spencer crusade.
It really was. And let's get technical for a second about why that actually matters so much.
Yeah, lay it out.
It wasn't just putting an old Xbox 360 disc into an Xbox One.
Yeah.
The hardware architecture was completely different.
Right. PowerPC versus By86.
Exactly. So they had to engineer a complex virtual machine wrapper for every single game to make those 360 games run on the new console.
Which is not cheap.
It is an immense engineering cost. It cost millions of dollars in man-hours for basically zero immediate profit.
Because you don't usually sell millions of new copies of a 10-year-old game.
Exactly. But it bought trust.
Trust. That is the key word. He argued that your digital library should move with you, and that was innovative for consoles at the time.
Very much so.
But he also invented the modern business model for Xbox. He pushed Game Pass incredibly aggressively when everyone else was still super focused on selling $60 physical discs.
Game Pass is the Netflix X-fication of gaming. It entirely changed the industry.
It really did.
But his other massive legacy is the sheer size of the Xbox division right now. The acquisitions.
The spending spree.
Yeah.
Mojang for Minecraft, ZeniMax for Bethesda, and then the absolute monster, the Activision Blizzard King deal for $69 billion.
That deal defined his later years as CEO. Think about it.
$69 billion.
He turned Xbox from a hardware company struggling to sell physical boxes into a massive content empire.
They own everything now.
They own Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Minecraft.
And through all of that, he was still viewed as a quote-unquote gamer first. You would see him playing games on his public Xbox profile.
But his gamer tag was always public.
He would be up late playing Destiny or Fallout 76. He spoke the language of the community. He wasn't just a suit reading a teleprompter. He felt like one of us.
He did. But there is a nuance here that we really need to acknowledge.
What's that?
Phil was a product guy. He deeply understood the emotional resonance of the gaming product.
Right.
But as the division grew into this $70 billion behemoth, Xbox is larger than Warner Brothers Discovery now.
That is insane to think about.
It is. But at that scale, the job stops being about the product and starts being about platform economics.
That is a great point. The job outgrew the gamer.
I think it did.
So fast forward to now. He tells Satya Nadella last fall, back in 2025, I'm done, I'm retiring.
Yep.
And he is staying on through the summer as an advisor, which sounds like a very standard gentleman's exit.
Very clean.
He gets the flowers, the nice blog post, his legacy is perfectly secure, but then we have the Sarabon situation. And this is exactly where the nice, clean retirement story gets very messy.
Here is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Sarah Bond was the Xbox president.
She was the one in the trenches.
She was the warrior for that brand.
Absolutely. During the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission trials for the Activision merger, she was the star witness.
She was incredible on the stand.
She was cool, she was collected, and she clearly understood the deep intricacies of the market.
Better than the lawyers did.
Oh, for sure. She was the one out there announcing the new hardware strategies at the big summer showcases.
Right.
If you asked anyone in the industry 6 months ago, who replaces Phil Spencer when he retires? The answer was Sarah Bond.
It wasn't even a question. It was a foregone conclusion.
100%. She was the face of the future. She had the charisma, she had the business acumen, and she had the trust of the game developers.
Which is hard to get.
Very hard. And then in the exact same news cycle as Phil's retirement announcement, we get a resignation.
Yeah.
I've decided to leave Microsoft. No fanfare, no advisor role to ease the transition. Just gone.
And that abruptness has fueled a lot of speculation.
I bet.
The snub theory is the prevailing narrative in the industry right now.
Okay, break that down.
The idea is that the CEO role finally opened up. She fully expected to step into it, and honestly, she had earned it. And the board, specifically Satya Nadella, looked completely outside the gaming division instead.
It is really hard not to read it exactly that way. Phil gets this glowing, lengthy send-off. Bond's exit was so much quieter.
almost brushed under the rug.
Her statement was very professional, just saying it was the right time to take my next step. But the silence from the corporate side? That feels like friction.
It feels like a massive disagreement on direction.
It feels like she looked at the new boss, looked at the new mandate, and said, this isn't the vision I signed up for.
Or perhaps this isn't a strategy I even believe in.
Right.
Remember, Bond was deeply integrated into the existing strategy. Game Pass, the console hardware, the current ecosystem.
She built it.
Right, so if the new mandate from Nadella is to radically change that entire ecosystem, maybe she decided she simply wasn't the right person to dismantle what she just spent years helping to build.
And that brings us directly to the person who's going to dismantle or at least completely remodel that ecosystem, the new boss.
Asha Sharma.
Because if you are Sarah Bond and you have been building the Xbox ecosystem for years, and then the company brings in Asha Sharma, the contrast is just stark.
Let's talk about Asha Sharma, because she is the absolute wild card in all of this. Who is she?
She is the new executive vice president and CEO of Microsoft Gaming. But her resume looks absolutely nothing like Phil Spencer's.
Not even close.
She didn't start as a Microsoft intern in the 80s.
No, she has been at Microsoft for about 2 years.
Just 2 years.
Yes. And before this sudden appointment, she was the president of Microsoft's Cori AI.
Cori AI. So she is the AI person.
She led the product portfolio for AI models and developable tools.
Okay.
That means she deeply understands the infrastructure of Azure. She understands LLMs, large language models, and she understands how to monetize AI tools for enterprise developers.
So she is deep in the technology that Microsoft is currently betting the entire company's future on.
Exactly. She is a Nadella lieutenant in the AI war.
Okay. And before Microsoft, because the resume gets even more interesting when you look back.
Before Microsoft, she was the COO of Instacart.
Instacart, like the grocery delivery app?
The very same.
Okay.
And before that, she was a VP at Meta, working on things like Messenger and Instagram Direct.
Okay, hold on. Let's just pause here. We have gone from a guy who interned in 1988 and plays Destiny all night to an executive who scaled Instacart and runs AI language models.
It is a pivot.
That is a very distinct change in flavor for a gaming brand.
It is a massive pivot from a culture focus to a scale focus.
Right.
Look at her Instacart tenure. As chief operating officer, she managed the full profit and loss, and she took them to profitability.
Which is hard.
Do you know how hard it is to actually make money in grocery delivery?
I assume the margins are terrible.
The margins are razor thin. It is a brutal, logistical, operational challenge.
So she is an optimizer.
She knows exactly how to optimize margins, she knows how to cut the fat, and she knows how to scale a consumer platform to billions of users.
Billions.
Instacart is a logistics and data-heavy business. It is all about squeezing efficiency out of every single transaction.
And that is the corporate logic here, right? Satya Nadella isn't looking for someone to pick the best level design for the next Halo game.
But doesn't care about the level design.
He doesn't need someone to tell him which gun sounds better in Call of Duty. He is looking for someone to what exactly?
Integrate gaming into the broader Microsoft machine.
To make it fit the overall corporate strategy.
Yes. Nadella's quote about her appointment was incredibly telling.
What did he say?
He said he selected her for her ability to, quote, scale services to billions of users.
Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say, make the best RPGs. He didn't say, win the console war.
Exactly. Scale services. That sounds a lot like corporate code for make the profit numbers go up.
It really does. It implies that the core mission has changed.
Entirely.
It is no longer about selling a plastic box that sits under your TV. It is about building a global platform that completely transcends hardware.
And crucially, her appointment signals a massive structural pivot toward integrating AI directly into the gaming ecosystem.
Which, let's be totally honest, terrifies a lot of gamers.
Oh, they are panicked.
We hear AI in gaming, and we immediately think of the absolute worst-case scenarios.
Right?
We think of procedurally generated voice acting that sounds robotic and hollow. We think of soulless art assets. We think of talented writers being fired and replaced by chatbots.
That is the fear on the ground. But the shareholders,
They probably love it.
they absolutely love it. They see AI integration and they just see efficiency. They see higher margins.
Less overhead.
Exactly. They see AI agents that can run through and test games much faster than human playtesters, which reduces QA costs, and QA costs are huge in modern game development.
Huge bottleneck.
They see dynamic ad insertions personalized by AI in real time. They see a way to make the actual business of making video games much cheaper.
But wait, if Asha Sharma is the business brain, the efficiency and logistics expert, who is making sure the games are actually, fun?
That is a very valid question.
Because you can have the most hyper-efficient, AI-driven platform in the world, but if the game isn't fun to play, nobody is going to care.
Right.
We have seen plenty of tech giants look at Google with Stadia, try to enter gaming with amazing algorithms, and just fail miserably because they didn't understand the fun factor.
That is exactly where Matt Booty comes into the picture.
Okay.
This is the other side of the executive shakeup that is getting a bit less attention in the mainstream headlines, but internally it is just as important.
So what happened with Matt Booty?
Matt Booty gets a major promotion. He is now the EVP and Chief Content Officer.
Okay, so Matt is the safety net for the actual games.
In a way, yes. He now oversees roughly 40 different studios.
Around 40.
Yes. That includes all of Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard, King, and all the legacy Xbox game studios.
That is a massive portfolio.
He is the content guy. The new corporate structure seems to be quite deliberate. Matt ensures the creative product is good, while Asha ensures the business engine runs perfectly and integrates with the rest of Microsoft's tech stack.
It is a separation of church and state almost. Business versus art.
Which can work in theory,
But,
but it can also lead to massive conflict.
oh, I can see that.
Right? If the business side demands efficiencies, say Asha comes down and says, use this new Azure AI tool to cut 20% of your narrative writing staff, and the art side under Matt Booty says, no, that ruins the game's story. Who wins that fight?
The person who controls the budget usually wins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the internal friction we are going to be watching very closely over the next year.
And speaking of demands from the business side, we really have to look at the scoreboard right now.
The financials.
Because you do not usually replace a beloved legend like Phil Spencer and lose your rock star president like Sarah Bond unless something is fundamentally wrong.
You don't fix what isn't broken.
Exactly. Why is this happening right now?
You have to look at the financial pressure cooker. If you look at the holiday 2025 quarter, it was just brutal for Xbox hardware.
How brutal are we actually talking?
Yeah.
Give me the numbers.
Xbox hardware revenue plummeted 32%
32%.
year over year.
Wow, that is not a minor slip. That is a cliff. That is basically a third of the hardware business just vanishing into thin air.
It is a cliff. We are looking at 12-year lows for console revenue right now.
12 years.
We haven't seen numbers this incredibly low since the very end of the Xbox 360 era, right before the Xbox One originally launched.
When everyone was waiting for the new boxes anyway.
Right, but this isn't the end of a generation. We are right in the middle of the current one. The industry estimates put the Xbox Series sales somewhere around 36 to 42 million units total.
And what does the competition look like? What is Sony doing?
Compare that to the PlayStation 5, which is sitting comfortably at over 84 million units sold.
So in the old metric of the console war, it is an absolute blowout. It is 2-to-1.
The war for unit sales is effectively lost. The hardware simply isn't moving off the shelves.
Yeah.
If you are Satya Nadella sitting in your office in Redmond looking at those hardware spreadsheets, you are saying, we cannot keep doing the exact same thing.
We are burning money.
This strategy had to change because the plastic boxes aren't selling. The consumer market has spoken very clearly.
And it is not just the console sales causing panic. The stock market overall has been pretty moody lately.
Moody is putting it lightly.
And Microsoft cares deeply, deeply about its stock price.
Microsoft stock is down roughly 14% over the last 30 days.
Wow.
It is trading around $397. Now, for a regular tech company, a 14% drop is a bad month. But for Microsoft, that is a crisis.
It wipes out billions in market cap.
Tens of billions. And we just saw a very rare downgrade from the Stifel analyst Brad Reback.
A downgrade from Microsoft. That rarely ever happens. They usually have a strong buy rating just stapled to their forehead. They are supposed to be the safest bet in tech.
Exactly. But he moved them from a buy rating down to a hold.
And in Wall Street terms, hold is basically a polite professional way of saying, do not touch this stock right now.
Pretty much. And his reasoning in the analyst note is critical to understanding the Xbox shakeup. It is the CapEx problem.
CapEx, capital expenditures, basically the hard cash they are spending on physically building stuff.
Specifically, the money they are spending on building AI infrastructure. We are talking about $120 billion a year right now.
120 billion.
A year. And the forward projections suggest they might actually hit $200 billion in CapEx by fiscal year 2027.
$200 billion. I can't even wrap my head around that number. That is an astronomical amount of money. That is literally more than the GDP of Hungary.
It is massive.
That is more than the GDP of Kuwait.
It is an unprecedented historical build-out of physical data centers, specialized GPUs, and the power grids,
Yeah.
just to run them all.
Right.
And Wall Street is finally starting to ask the hard question.
Yeah.
Where is the profit?
Show me the money.
Right. We are spending the GDP of a medium-sized country on AI data centers, but are we actually seeing the financial return on that yet?
No.
The downgrade specifically cited Azure supply constraints, which basically means they are running out of GPUs to power all this AI because internal and external demand is so high and serious margin pressure.
So connect the dots for me here. How does all of this macroeconomic AI server stuff actually impact the gaming division? Why does the AI spending affect the next Halo game?
Because Microsoft is ultimately one single company with one balance sheet.
Right.
The gaming division can no longer just be this fun, expensive hobby or a long-term strategic play that just breaks even.
It has to carry its weight.
It needs to be a highly profitable engine. It needs to justify its ongoing existence within this massive historical tech spin.
Oh, I see.
The AI tail is wagging the Azure dog right now. If Microsoft is pivoting the entire company to AI just to justify that $200 billion spend, gaming has to get in line immediately.
So Asha Sharma coming straight from Core AI isn't some random coincidence. It is the core strategy.
It is the only strategy.
They need an executive who can look at the massive gaming servers and look at the massive AI servers and figure out how to merge them to save money and boost margins.
Exactly. It is all about unified infrastructure. Why have completely separate servers for xCloud gaming and separate servers for ChatGPT?
That makes sense.
Asha Sharma is the exact right person who knows how to unify that complicated backend.
Okay, so Asha Sharma steps in, and she has got a really tough job ahead of her.
Very tough.
Hardware is down 32%. Shareholders are grumpy about the stock, and gamers are highly skeptical of her non-gaming background.
A lot of fires to put out.
So she sends out this company-wide email to the staff outlining her grand strategy, the 3 commitments. Let's break these down, because this is her manifesto. This is what the next 5 years of Xbox look like.
Right, so commitment number 1, great games.
Which, I mean, implies maybe we haven't had enough of those lately. It feels like stating the obvious, doesn't it?
It does feel a bit generic, but she absolutely has to say it.
Yeah.
It is the content pipeline argument.
Reassuring the troops.
Exactly. She is emphasizing unforgettable characters and creative excellence in her memo. She is trying to reassure the internal staff that artistic quality still matters to her.
Right.
But the real meat here isn't the corporate adjectives she used. It is the 2026 roadmap.
The 4 horsemen.
Yes. Halo, Fable, Gears of War, and Forza.
Wow.
The internal plan is to release major flagship entries in all 4 of these massive franchises in 2026.
That is a stacked year. I mean, if they actually pull that off, that is huge for the platform. That is like going back to the golden 2007 era of the Xbox 360.
It would be incredible.
But there's a giant, unavoidable elephant in the room for 2026.
A very large, heavily armed, crime-ridden elephant, Grand Theft Auto 6.
Confirmed for November 19th, 2026.
And the sources indicate that Microsoft is aggressively, almost frantically scheduling its own games to completely avoid clashing with this juggernaut.
Smart.
They know full well that GTA 6 is going to suck all the cultural oxygen out of the room. It is going to be a global phenomenon.
Yeah, you do not want to launch your big new Fable reboot the week GTA 6 comes out.
Absolutely not.
That is commercial suicide. No one will stream it. No one will talk about it. It will just get buried.
Exactly. So commitment 1 is basically get the big games out, make sure they are actually good, and for heaven's sake, do not launch them in November.
Right.
But there's a subtlety here that we shouldn't miss. By heavily stacking 2026, she's effectively buying herself time in 2025 to restructure the business.
Buffer year.
Right. It gives her a 12-month gap to fix the internal plumbing before the water gets turned on full blast.
Okay, that makes sense. So commitment number 2, the return of Xbox.
This is the hardware promise. She pledges to, quote, recommit to the console.
Now, hold on a second. We just said hardware sales are down 32%. We just said they conclusively lost the console war to Sony.
Yep.
How do you recommit to a product line that is hitting 12-year lows? Is this just lip service to keep the hardcore fans calm?
That is the widespread skepticism right now. But there is a very interesting pivot hidden in the details here.
What's the pivot?
There are credible internal reports and rumors discussing a hybrid architecture for future Xbox hardware.
Hybrid how? Like a portable Nintendo Switch kind of thing?
No, not portable, more like a PC.
Okay.
The idea is that future Xboxes might function a lot more like a closed-loop living room PC. Imagine a box that sits under your TV, looks like an Xbox, has an Xbox controller, but it actually runs a streamlined version of Windows.
So it could run other storefronts?
Exactly. Maybe it runs Steam. Maybe it runs the Epic Game Store natively.
Oh, wow. So instead of the pitch being, here is the walled Xbox ecosystem, the pitch becomes, here is a powerful machine that plays literally everything.
It completely broadens the library.
Yeah.
If you know you cannot beat Sony on exclusive first-party games, maybe you try to beat them on openness.
Make it the ultimate hub.
You make the Xbox the ultimate everything box.
Yeah.
And honestly, this perfectly fits with Sharma's background and broad platforms.
I know so.
You stop fighting the traditional hardware war, my plastic box versus your plastic box,
Oh.
and you start fighting the platform utility war.
That would be a massive game changer for the industry. If I could buy an Xbox tomorrow and immediately play my entire Steam library on my TV,
It's very appealing.
I am sold. I
Yeah.
would buy that day one. But that also severely cannibalizes their own digital store sales, doesn't it?
It does.
Like if I buy Cyberpunk on Steam to play on my new Xbox, Microsoft doesn't get their standard 30% cut of that sale. Valve gets it.
That is the core risk. That is a massive business risk to take.
Why do it then?
Because if the alternative is you just abandoning Xbox and buying a PlayStation 6, Microsoft gets 0% anyway.
Ah, I see.
At least with a hybrid PC Xbox, you are physically in their hardware ecosystem, you are highly likely to stay subscribed to Game Pass, and you are trapped in their valuable data loop.
They keep you as an active user.
They might be very willing to trade that 30% software cut just for basic user retention and platform scale.
It is a bold strategy. It is basically admitting out loud, we can't force you to buy software from us, so we will just be the most convenient place where you play.
Exactly. It is finally acknowledging the reality of the market.
Okay, commitment number 3. And this is the one that really caught my eye in the memo. The future of play.
Right. This is the business model section.
Huh?
Reinventing monetization, moving away from treating legacy IP as, quote, static assets to milk.
And then she dropped the quote of the year. I really have to read this directly from the source because it is so incredibly specific. In her opening email, she said, quote, "We will not flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop."
Soulless AI slop.
That is vivid. That is a very chronically online phrase for a CEO to use.
It is incredibly deliberate phrasing. She knows the prevailing narrative about her.
That she's the tech grim reaper.
She knows people see her title as former AI president and immediately think she's going to fire all the artists and just use Midjourney to make games.
Right.
She knows the internal developers of Bethesda and Activision are terrified of her background.
Right. So she is directly addressing the core fear that an AI executive is just going to replace human developers with bots.
She insists in the memo that games are art crafted by humans. It was a very smart political move.
Diffusing the bomb.
Exactly. She has to win over the developers internally before she can even hope to win over the gamers externally.
Makes sense.
She is trying to say, look, I deeply know AI, which means I know exactly what bad AI looks like, and we simply won't do that here.
The goal, according to her notes, is building a shared platform where players and developers create stories together.
Yes.
Which sounds a bit buzzy and vague. What does that actually mean in practice?
It strongly hints at a massive push for user-generated content, UGC.
Like what?
Think about the success of Roblox or Fortnite Creative Mode.
But with high-fidelity graphics.
Exactly. Imagine something like Halo Forge, but on absolute steroids, completely powered by back-end AI tools.
Okay.
Imagine if you could build a fully functional, professional-looking Call of Duty multiplayer map just by describing it to an AI prompt, and then instantly play it with your friends.
That would be wild.
And that connects directly back to the Instacart logic we talked about.
How so?
Building a platform where others create the actual value, and Microsoft just sits in the middle and takes a cut of every transaction.
That is the holy grail for these companies, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, Roblox makes money hand over fist because they literally don't have to pay developers to make their games. The kids make the games for them for free.
Exactly. If Asha Sharma can successfully turn the Xbox ecosystem into a high-fidelity Roblox, that completely solves the profitability problem Wall Street is mad about.
Because the margins on that are incredible.
Right. You aren't spending $200 million in 5 years to make one single game. You are just providing the AI tools for millions of users to make millions of games for you.
So we have these three core pillars: great games, but please don't die against GTA; new hardware, which might be a PC hybrid; and a new business model focused on UGC, but don't worry, no AI slop.
That's the playbook.
But let's look at the cultural friction here, because you have two very, very different groups of people watching this exact same transition.
You have the gamer anxiety on one side versus the shareholder joy on the other.
Let's start with the gamers. They are nervous.
Very understandably. There is a lot of extremely loud chatter online.
And some of it gets pretty toxic.
Some of it is ugly. There are these comments about Indian nepotism floating around, which we should be very clear is completely unfounded.
Absolutely.
These are global tech executives operating at the highest possible level based on severe performance metrics.
Right. Nadella isn't hiring his friends, he's hiring operators.
Exactly. But that ugliness in the forums really reflects a deeper fear of an insular Silicon Valley tech clique taking over a beloved entertainment medium.
The suits are taking over.
A fear that the suits are finally replacing the creatives. But I think the real valid fear is the lack of gamer cred.
Right. Like we said, Phil played Destiny. Phil had a high public gamer score. You could look him up and see what he was playing last night.
He was a known quantity.
Asha Sharma has played Halo and Firewatch, according to her corporate profile, but she didn't grow up working in the gaming industry.
No.
She doesn't have 30 years of fond E3 memories to draw on.
And so the profound fear is that Xbox slowly becomes just another app tile on a Samsung Smart TV.
The death of the physical console.
That the box disappears and the unique brand identity completely disappears with it.
Gamers are very tribal.
They treat their console choice like a tribe. And if the new leader of the tribe doesn't natively speak the language, the tribe naturally feels abandoned. They feel like they're being aggressively managed, not passionately led.
And then on the flip side, you have the shareholders. They are looking at this exact same news and probably popping expensive champagne.
Absolutely they are. Because they are looking strictly for efficiency.
The bottom line.
They do not care if the CEO has a high gamer score or knows the lore of Gears of War. They only care if the CEO can deliver consistent margin growth.
Which Sharma has proven she can do.
A former Instacart chief operating officer fundamentally knows how to cut costs. She knows how to optimize logistics.
Right.
Microsoft stock is down, Wall Street is demanding answers about CapEx, and they need a very strong story to tell investors.
And this is that story.
Saying, we just put a ruthless data-driven operator in charge of gaming to finally monetize our massive AI investment. That is a very, very good story for Wall Street.
So the core friction we are left with is this. Can a leader who didn't organically grow up in the gaming industry truly understand why normal people buy and love games?
It is the million-dollar question.
Or, and here is the really provocative question, is a complete outsider exactly what this stagnant brand desperately needs?
That is the absolute key to all of this.
Break that down.
Maybe the traditional console war mindset was the actual problem holding them back.
Right.
Phil Spencer fought that console war very, very well. He rehabilitated the brand, but he couldn't actually win the war because the battlefield completely shifted under his feet.
Sony just ran away with the unit sales.
Right. So maybe you need someone at the top who literally does not care about beating Sony in plastic box unit sales.
But cares about what?
Cares about beating everyone. Sony, Apple, Google, Tencent, in global platform engagement and software margins.
It's the Moneyball approach.
Yes.
The old veteran scouts in the room are saying, she doesn't look like a ball player, she doesn't know the culture, and the new data management is just looking at the spreadsheet saying, I don't care if she gets on base.
Exactly. Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And we are rapidly entering the true show me the money phase for all of this tech.
Because Microsoft has spent billions on buying Activision, billions on buying Bethesda, hundreds of billions on building AI data centers.
And now they finally have to prove that all of this actually works together as a cohesive business.
The clock is ticking.
The next 12 to 18 months are the grand referendum on this strategy.
2026, the Four Horsemen year.
Exactly. If Halo, Fable, Gears, and Forza come out in 2026 and they commercially flop,
Oh, man.
or if they come out, they are great, but the hardware sales still don't stabilize and stop dropping,
Then what?
then the brand faces a true existential crisis.
It really is do or die time. I mean, if this new hybrid AI-infused strategy fails, do we even have a physical Xbox console in 2028?
That is the ultimate question. And frankly, with Asha Sharma at the helm, if the console hardware division doesn't make money, she might be the one executive brave enough or ruthless enough to finally cut it.
Just kill the hardware outright.
Phil Spencer would never, ever kill the Xbox console. It was his baby.
He couldn't do it.
But Asha Sharma, she absolutely might, if the spreadsheet tells her to.
That is a genuinely terrifying thought for some of the longtime fans out there, and a completely coldly logical one for the investors.
It is just the harsh reality of corporate business at this scale.
So let's wrap this up. We are clearly seeing the end of the Phil Spencer era. And he absolutely saved the brand, there's no doubt about it.
He saved it from total irrelevance. He literally brought Xbox back from the dead after 2013.
He deserves the accolades.
He does. But the current market realities, the steep hardware decline, the massive AI boom, they demanded a completely new type of corporate leader.
And Asha Sharma represents that massive shift, a shift from viewing gaming as a discrete console box to viewing gaming as a global integrated AI platform.
It is a high-risk, incredibly high-reward pivot. I would argue it is the biggest gamble in Xbox history since they originally launched the first console against the PS2.
So here is the final thought for you listening at home to mull over.
Okay.
With Microsoft aggressively moving toward this platform-agnostic, AI-driven future, and with physical hardware sales currently hitting 12-year lows,
Right.
are we witnessing the start of a brilliant new era of gaming innovation? Or are we actually just watching the slow, carefully managed exit of Microsoft from the home console hardware business entirely?
Are we looking at a rebirth, or are we looking at a hospice care plan for the traditional console?
That is the real question. Think deeply about what you value more as a consumer. Do you value the physical box sitting under your TV, or do you just value the games playing on the screen?
A tough choice.
Because looking at this new regime, you might not be able to have both the way you used to.
It is a fascinating and slightly scary time to be watching the ticker.
Thanks for listening to the Pro Ticker Deep Dive. We will see you next time.